Meeting is being live streamed.
Hey,
And we're back,
are we?
aren't we?
We are. Yes, we are. Hey. Okay, my monitor setup's a little bit different, so I'm going to be reading over here and looking over this way. But anyway, hello everyone, and Happy New Year, and welcome back to our Sunday night offering of Astronomy Outreach for January the 8th, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show.
Hey.
We're back.
My name is Chris Kerwin. I'm the creator and admin of the social media channels known as Astronomy by the Bay, and I'm an amateur astronomer and a member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. First of all, I'd like to welcome back our regular co-host and fellow RAS member, Mr. Mike Powell from the PFO Observatory here in beautiful St. John. Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Hey. And I'd like to introduce our other regular co-host and fellow RAS member, Mr. Paul Owen from the Moon Shadow Observatory in beautiful Hampton, New Brunswick. Paul, good evening.
Hello. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. All right, on tonight's episode of the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. Now, tonight, we're going to attempt something a bit different. Really, this was the reason the show started out in the first place. But over 150 episodes now ago, we said, you know, something might be a nice idea to offer live feeds on a program. Okay, that's a good idea. Let's do it on the Sunday night show. And Paul came up with the name, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show. Hey, let's call it that. Okay, great. Since we started all this, we have 2 nights that were clear out of all those Sunday nights in the Maritime. So that's what our weather seems to be like here. Anyway, we do have a bit of a clear sky tonight. Paul will have some targets to offer up as we go through the show. So we're looking forward to seeing what he has hooked up on his live camera right now. Anyway, we're going to attempt part of that tonight, but if conditions degrade, we'll proceed along with another topic along the way. So we got some backup stuff there. So anyway, we'll have an hour show for you for sure.
We do.
Also tonight, Bino Bud is going to return with another fine binocular target of the week. He promised.
He did.
And Paul will be presenting another interesting Rosanna's Fun Fact segment as well. I'll provide you with a quick look at the week ahead in our evening sky, and we're going to take a look at that situation on the comet that everybody's been talking about. And we'll show your wonderful photo submissions as well that you have shared with me. Appreciate that. So this is the family-friendly interactive live broadcast. So for those of you joining us from my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, we are happy to try and answer all of your astronomy questions in real time as well. And of course, we'd like to welcome back all of those folks who have been joining us through the local Rogers TV network. Thank you for your support. Okay. Southern New Brunswick is turning into an eastern rainforest. I got that. So let's get started with tonight's program and a little bit of night sky viewing. This is something that we've been trying to do now for over 150 episodes, but let's see what we got.
By the way, we were talking before we went on this week about some other things we'd like to do. And one of the things we talked about was we'd like to know what you guys got for Christmas. Your whatever telescope stuff you got or whatever it is related to astronomy. And let us know what you have. If you got something that you aren't sure how it works, let's get it on the show here, and we'll give you a hand getting up and going if you haven't already. And maybe you got some stuff that we don't even know about yet. So it'd be neat to see some of the stuff that y'all got for Christmas. So
Toys. We love toys.
Absolutely, we love toys. Okay, so let's take a look at our first target. Paul's got up. He's been capturing some data. Paul, tell us a little bit of how you're capturing the data, if you wouldn't mind, first of all.
Okay, so
Great big glove.
I got a lasso and I went out and I. So anyway, well, I'll share the screen and then we'll talk about how we're capturing it. So figure out if I can do that. I should do it right there. Tell me if you see it.
We got clouds.
Yep. Perfect.
That's awesome.
Nice
Hey.
clouds.
Could I move this little thing here, dock to the top? That green thing? Is that movable?
Says you are viewing
Oh,
Paul.
it does get in the way, doesn't it?
Yeah. There we go. Got rid of it. Sweet. Okay, so basically what we have here is some nebulosity that we're looking at. And how we're capturing this tonight is I have a telescope in the backyard, and it's a 110 millimeter refractor. So basically it's a 4-inch refractor is what it is. The glass, the objective on the front is 4 inches. And it is capturing this part of the sky, and then it's sending it down into a camera, through a filter, through a hydrogen alpha filter, actually. And it's the reason I can get it, because the moon's going to be up pretty soon and it's going to get bright, but with a hydrogen alpha filter, I'll still be able to see this nice and clear like this. And then it's just going into a mono camera, and then the camera basically is hooked up, all of this is hooked up to a computer that's in my observatory. And then I am just basically Wi-Fiing that computer to the one that you see on the screen now, which is here in the house. And that's how I operate everything. So we're going to be able to swing that telescope around to a few different targets tonight. But when we do that, it takes a little bit of time because I have to choose a target, and then we have to slew to it, and then we have to let the information build so that you can actually get an image that looks similar to what this is. Now, you're not going to see any color images tonight because, again, I'm using a monochromatic camera, and I have to do all the different colors in different capture times, and then put them all together to give you color. So, but we are seeing some of the data that's being captured at hydrogen alpha. It's just in grayscale right now. So if you look down on the bottom over here in this corner, so far I've captured 270 frames that are 20 seconds long. So it's really, I'm not even guiding it, just capturing a whole bunch of frames and stacking them all up. And so right now I've got 91 minutes of total time on this image, and I'm just using SharpCap to capture the data and live stack it. And so that's how we're being shown this nebula tonight.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, Paul does a lot of nebula. Paul shoots a lot of nebula because there's so much detail in these nebula, and they're so colorful when you are in colored capture. But they have so much going on in just this part of the image alone. Now, this one is in one of my favorite areas of the sky, Cygnus. Probably my favorite area of the sky. Everybody knows that. But there's a lot happening in Cygnus anyway. But nebula are just clouds of, I mean, we came from a cloud of dust and gas, a nebula at one time, right? So
Yeah.
I think our audio is a little choppy on Facebook.
Oh, that's Facebook.
Yeah, they're doing it to us.
Yeah. Is it my audio, or I wonder whose audio?
Okay, I think it was mine a bit, but I was sitting back in my chair, so it may be a little bit better now that I'm closer to the microphone.
You're cutting out a little bit, Paul says. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have good luck with Facebook, folks, don't forget you can switch over to YouTube. We're live there as well. It seems to be solid on YouTube. So
yeah.
That's why we simulcast.
That's right. That's right.
You never know who's
So,
gonna be up.
yeah, so we're going to just talk a little bit about, each of us has a little piece of this area in the sky that we're going to chat about. And Mike, did you want to kind of talk about,
Did you want to find that cluster or
we're on, yeah, the cluster. Yeah.
at six nine
Okay,
nine seven?
I'll show you the cluster. And actually, Mike pointed this out to me. I'll let him give you all the details on it. I'll show you where it is, and I'll let Mike talk about it. I've shot this lots and lots and lots of times because it's just an easy target to capture because it's one of the brighter nebulas that are in the sky. So if you're just starting out with astrophotography, the North American Nebula is one of the easiest ones to get because it's so bright. It doesn't take a lot of data to get, and it doesn't take very much time. As you can see here, I've only got like an hour and a half on this thing, and look at the detail that I've got, and there's virtually no noise. So it's really nice and bright. So you're getting lots of signal and noise on it. But anyway, when I capture this, I've always admired this star cluster here. Now I'm going to bring that in a little closer so you can actually see it a little bit better. And right there, I just think that's an absolutely gorgeous cluster. Well, unbeknownst to me, Mike educated me on this. So I'll let you take it here from Mike.
Yeah, it was just surprising to find out that there's not a lot of information out there on that particular cluster actually either, but it's known as NGC 6997. It appears what they call near the Great Lakes area of the nebula, which is actually, when you look at it, it is pretty close to where the Great Lakes would be. After careful study, it's been determined that the star cluster is actually beyond the nebulous cloud by about 200 light years. So we're looking through the gas cloud and these stars are actually behind it. I don't know if they're adding to the possible light that's lighting it up or not, but it was kind of cool to find out the best estimate for the cluster is 200 light years beyond the nebula. The North American Nebula is at a distance of 2,000 years. So NGC 6997 is about 2,200 light years away. And then it's actually, there's some dark nebula in there. And they say it's difficult to determine the distance of the dark nebula because of the regular nebula around it, but they figure it's about 1,500 light years away. So that was some interesting information. The other part was NGC 6997 has been mislabeled a few times as NGC 6996 in many, many sources in both books and charts. But now that it's been pointed out by numerous people, it's starting to get a little more, how do you say, a little more famous as itself as 6997. How's that?
Yeah.
So that's just something that I didn't realize either, that those stars aren't part of the nebula. They're actually 200 light years past the nebula. That's pretty cool.
So you know what, that kind of goes to show you, I'll bring it back into a little more wider point of view, that when we look at something like this, when we look at a photograph that we shoot of a nebula or anything in space for that matter, we only see it two-dimensionally. But if you could actually see it three-dimensionally, I think you'd be quite surprised how deep things are. And I was just saying, you know, we're looking right through that by how many, 200 million years?
200 light years.
200 light years through that. And but when you look at it and you take a picture of it, it's hard to create depth to that degree that you actually can see what you're actually looking at. And I think for the reason why I never knew anything about that star cluster being on the other side of the nebula was because I just never perspective wasn't there to create it.
Right.
Yeah, I just like the way the guy framed it as well in this conversation that he put out, where when you look at the North American Nebula, it obviously looks like a picture of North America. That's how it got its name, with South America being the prominent part coming down. But where he said that star cluster sits right where the Great Lakes would be.
Yeah.
Like, oh, geez, it is too.
Now, Bill's asking, what is that big bright star to the lower left that really stands out?
The lower left, there's a whole bunch of bright stars.
Would that be Deneb, Paul?
No, Deneb is actually, it's not, it's outside of, actually, I'll show you where Deneb is.
Okay.
A sec, I'm going to move this phone out of the way. And let's go to here. So here's, just give me a second here. We land on the nebula. There we are. So there's the North American Nebula there. So, or no, sorry, that's Cygnus. as we go up to the, get closer to it. So there's the North American Nebula there. It looks like Darth Vader facing down. So, but that part you see down here, that with a little, what would be his chin, his mouth open and chin, that's the area that we're looking at right now, there and here. Also the Pelican Nebula. Deneb itself is right here. I'm going to make that even bigger.
So it's out of the frame. Yep.
Yeah, so it's way out of the frame. But
I think that
if you're looking for the North American Nebula, just look for the Cygnus the Swan. This is the tail of the swan, and this is the alpha star in the North American Nebula. And that would be Cygni A, I think, or something like that.
I think that bright star
Alpha
you see in
Cygni.
your photograph is Cygnus 57.
Yeah, that and again, I'd have to see which one it is and then kind of source it.
Yeah,
Just-
it looks like it's the one in your photograph, though.
Is it okay? Yeah, because it would be more somewhere was around these bright stars here
A little closer to the Pelican, but right, yeah, it's just in that area.
in
Yeah,
that area.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
Bill's saying when you zoomed in, that's what the star said at the right edge, apparently. So
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So if you want to know where this is, if you just kind of, standing outside looking, just look for the Little Dipper in the sky, Polaris. And then the Big Dipper's over here. It's going to go, it's pointing right to Polaris. And it's going to point right to Cassiopeia up here. And just go right straight down the Milky Way to Cassiopeia through Cepheus, and there's the North America, or the Cygnus, and that's where the North American Nebula is right there. And it's starting to set because it's going to go down here because it's going, it's traveling, I would say northwest, but it's west north, I guess. And because this thing, of course, moves in a circle. So, and that would be, where's it at? Just like, there we go. So there's Polaris. So virtually that's what we call our North Star. So everything kind of moves around in a circle. From east, it goes up and west, and it kind of keeps going like that. So this is going to get probably a little bit below the horizon. I can't see it beyond my tree line. But in any event, that's where that one is. I just wanted to show you that.
I'm watching for questions on both your YouTube and Facebook. So if you have questions, bring them up.
Yep.
These guys are happy to answer them. Dwayne's asked, Paul, is a hydrogen alpha filter useful for visual astronomy or only astrophotography?
You can get visual hydrogen alpha filters and you can get imaging hydrogen alpha filters, and they are very, very different things. But yeah, you can get HA filters for observing if you want to. If you want to observe this, ironically enough, the best way to observe it, of course, is in a dark sky with a very short focal length. So if you can look at this with a 500 millimeter or smaller focal length, you'll be able to see a big portion of it in the scope. But to visually see it, the best way to see it is through an oxygen 3 filter, believe it or not. So, and I think it's got a little bit to do with what the O3, which is more in that green blue spectrum. And as humans, we see green way better than we do anything else, twice as much as any other color. So I think that may be the reason it's in that spectrum where you can actually see a little bit more of it being ignited with that particular band of color. But you won't see it in the city. You got to see that under a dark sky and on a moonless night, really, if you want to be able to really get a real good look at the actual nebula visually.
Okay.
So did you want to talk about the Pelican?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, a little bit, I'm not as up on nebula as these guys are, but a little bit of stuff off NASA science site. It states what, so where the Pelican is, maybe you can point it out, Paul, that area right there looks like a Pelican, I guess.
I'll make that a little bigger so you can see it a little bit better, and I'll isolate it from.
So the North American is the wall, the North American part of the nebula, and the Pelican all kind of together.
Okay, so here's, I'll just point out what the Pelican is.
Sure.
And I'm just going to drop this down a bit further. There we go. So why it's called the Pelican, first of all, is because if you look at the shape of this, just think of a pterodactyl more than a pelican, but it's the same idea. So you can see this would be the bird's head right up here. And then you've got an offset eye, which is that really bright star in that black area. This is the other eye there. And this would be his long bill, as you can see right down through there.
Hmm.
So that would be his head. These are his eyes, and this is the long bill. And that's where it gets the name, the pelican.
Okay, a little bit of notes what NASA science says. They say, what dark structures arise within the Pelican Nebula? On the whole, the nebula appears like a bird or a pelican and is seen toward the constellation of a different bird, Cygnus, a swan. But inside the Pelican Nebula is a place lit up by new stars and befouled by dark dust. Smoke-sized dust grains start as a simple carbon compounds formed in the cool atmospheres of young stars, but are dispersed by stellar winds and explosions. Now,
You got 8 days to expire.
Two impressive Herbig-Haro jets are seen emitted by the star HH 555 on the right, and these jets are helping to destroy the light-year-long dust pillar that it contains. Other pillars and jets are also visible. The featured image was scientifically colored to. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at a different picture here. Pelican Nebula is about 2,000 light years away and can be found with a small telescope to the northeast of the bright star.
There you are. So that's basically that region. So a lot of people just shoot that, and you're seeing a fair bit of detail here on this one now. But if I spend like a good 20, 30 hours collecting data, not only hydrogen alpha, but some of the other wavelengths that are in there, it's an absolute amazing thing to behold and actually study and get in there and look at. So this is another reason why this is a really, really popular one to do. I've seen it done in just straight hydrogen alpha, and I've also seen it done in other filters, and it's absolutely amazing to look at. So now the other part that we're looking at is right here, and this is the most active part of the North American Nebula, and it's called the Great Wall. And it's kind of looks like, I don't know, like a little bit of a lobster or kind of a thing on the top of it here. And then it just kind of turns down into this, I don't know, it almost looks like a bird really to a degree flying.
I see Jay Leno.
See, there you go. See lots of things with it. But it's called.
I can't not see Jay Leno now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Is that his head and his nose and his?
Yeah.
There you go.
Chin.
Yeah. The witch head is dead. Jay Leno lives.
Sorry, people.
But in any event, that's the Cygnus Wall, and this is actually this is the part of that nebula that exhibits the most concentrated star formation in the area. So there's a lot of dust dark dust that's in there, and there's a lot of very, very bright emission nebula. And again, that's why that is so bright. So when you see this actually completed and in color and processed properly, this whole area here, it almost lights up like a silhouette. It gets that bright in that area. And that is the most active star forming area of the North American Nebula. I'll swing it back to a smaller view. So the North American Nebula, and I still don't have the whole thing on my field of view because I oriented it this way so you can see the pelican as well. But if you think about the Gulf of Mexico, that would be this area here. Then you'd be going on up to the California coast, right on up to Washington, and then you're going to eventually join Canada, come all the way across, and then we're starting with Maine, going down the eastern seaboard, and all the way down here. So that's where the whole North American Nebula gets its name from, because of course it's in the shape of the North American Nebula. Yeah. So this is it. This is the first target that we wanted to show tonight. Unless you got more to add, Chris?
No. Do you want to show what it looked like in color, Paul, or?
I'd have to find.
I have.
Oh, actually, yeah, I can show you. Just give me 1 sec. I'm going to show somebody else's image, not my own.
Yeah, I got one. Oh, I've got one brought up here. If you want me to use it, doesn't matter.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Let me stop sharing.
Okay, sure.
It's a huge target. It's not.
It is,
yeah, it is.
To get the whole thing is almost impossible unless you're shooting with a camera.
I'll try sharing it now. Then this guy here.
There's the complete complex right there.
Yeah.
Like it's a massive. Massive.
So that would be in your color shots, right, Paul?
Yeah. That's shot in RGB, and then somebody added H alpha over top. I'm guessing, but that's what I think I'm seeing.
Right.
It's just HA because there's not a lot of color in the stars.
There's the wall that we were talking about. There's the
Yep.
pelican standing
There's
out
the
pretty
pelican.
clear there now. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the cluster
That's
up
the
there
next star.
that you see through that doesn't belong to the, just up a
Yeah.
little higher, Chris.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
actually behind it. Yeah, it's where the Great Lakes would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little into your left a bit, right there.
There. Yeah. Okay.
Right up in
Gotcha.
there. So that's where that cluster sits.
Yeah.
So that's it. And that sits in the constellation Cygnus, and we still see it this time of the year.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Okay.
Thanks for giving us that treat to take a look at. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to give Paul a little bit of break. Paul's going to swing around to another target.
Yep.
And try our luck at that.
Tarzan.
Well, maybe.
Oh.
In the meantime, while Paul's getting set up on the next target and getting some information gathered together, we're going to go ahead with the show. We're going to continue, and we'll go through our segments and bring on another target as Paul gets ready. So, how about a Bino Bud next?
Bino Bud next. If I can find him here.
It definitely looks like the North American continent. It does so, Billy. Yeah.
All righty. Binocular target of the week by Bino Bud. By the way, Happy New Year, everybody. Are you ready for this one? Yeehaw! The Orion S. Kurt was on our show last. He talked about this a little bit. And I thought, geez, he's going to give away my Bino Bud for the month. But anyway, continuing on. Orion is a prominent constellation located in on the celestial equator and visible throughout the world. Looking into Orion's belt between Mintaka and, I'm trying to get this right now, Alnilam. That works. You will find 13 to 15 stars between magnitude 5 and 7, and that is what forms the letter S. You're going, huh? So how do I find it in the sky? Well, if you went out right about now, actually, and oriented yourself at 135 degrees east southeast and looked up, you would see Orion. And you can find Orion's belt right here. And it's right in between these two stars of the belt. Real simple to find. A closer look. There's one star, there's the second, there's a third of the belt. And guess what? This comes right around like this in a big S. Now, if you don't quite see it in this picture, wait till I get closer. In 10 by 50 binoculars, I'm sure you're starting to see the S here now in 10 by 50s. Look at that. Comes right around. And S is between those two stars. You cannot miss it when you look up. You'll see a big S. Compared to the full moon, got to be at least 3 full moons across, if not 4. So it's a good size. Like I said, you find those top 2 stars in the belt and just look, and you'll see the S splits right down in between them. And a little to the left. Binocular target of the week by Bino Bud.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Always have a comic at the end. Always a joker. Okay. I think what we're going to do, let Paul continue to collect some data there. And I'm going to try a what's up talk. Let's see if I can get my screen shared properly here. I think I'm going to go over this one. I'll have to do a little bit of a flip here. Oh, where's my button at? Hidden underneath the label. That ain't going to work. Hang on. I'll stop sharing again. Slideshow. I can do it now. Let's try again. From current slide. Now,
There we go.
You got the right view there?
Thursday,
Okay.
January 12th.
Yes, sir. All right. Let's go back one. Start it up a little there. What's up this week? It's more like it. Okay, so this is in a little bit of a chronological order off a little bit because I didn't get a chance to straighten them out because I was just going looking for data everywhere. But anyway, let's look to the giant planet Jupiter on Thursday for the transit of Europa. We got a couple more transits coming up here. This is when one of the moons of Jupiter has 79 moons, but 4 of the Galilean moons regularly pass in front of the planet from our point of view. And this is one of the occurrences here. So If you look to the giant planet on with the telescope on Thursday evening to witness the Galilean moon Europa as it transits across the face of the giant planet, followed by its shadow. It's difficult to pick out the planet itself, or the moon itself, sorry, but the shadow is very, very evident. Now, the Europa begins its transit at 1800 and it ends at 2032 Atlantic time. Its shadow is much more apparent, transiting from 2034 to 2300 Atlantic time. Now we're going to go back to Monday. Must know one slide I missed. Okay. On Monday evening, we've got Io and its shadow with the Great Red Spot together. So this is kind of neat. It's nice to have a planet, or gee, I keep calling them planets. Sorry, there's some of them are the biggest planets. A moon, a shadow, and the Great Red Spot together. So on Monday evening, telescope users can spot the shadow of one of Jupiter's moons, little Io, as it transits across the face of the giant planet. Now, a nice photo capture would be when Io is visible against the blackness of space, as it is in this particular shot. Its shadow is still transiting, and the Great Red Spot is in view at the same time. So timing can be everything, but it would make a nice shot, Kathy Adams. Back to Thursday again. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about this one. This is Comet C2022 E3 ZTF or ZTF, however you want to pronounce it, at perihelion. Perihelion means that that's the closest point, its closest approach to the sun. So this is the comet that everybody's been talking about, C2020 E3 ZTF. The reports so far that I've seen are that it's around magnitude 8. So it's not naked eye visibility yet. We need about a magnitude 6 from a dark sky site to pick out an object, and you have to know exactly where you're looking, of course. It will appear more like a fuzzball through a pair of binoculars than it will an object with a long tail, although apparently there is a tail that is starting to be apparent with it. Now, at perihelion, the comet will be a little over 1 astronomical unit from the sun. 1 astronomical unit is the average distance from us to the sun. Now, then on February the 2nd, 2023, the comet will reach its closest point to Earth at a distance of only 0.29 AUs, or only 44 million kilometers away. So January and February are prime times to view this fuzzy, icy visitor from the outer solar system. How bright will it be? Well, it's predicted to reach magnitude 6.7 as it closes in on the sun, which is still not naked eye viewing, although it is expected to reach magnitude 5, which would be nice, on its closest approach to Earth. I think NEO-wise was Mag 4, 3.8 or Mag 4, so still 2.5 times brighter than the brightest that this one will be, which could be visible naked eye from a dark sky site and easily visible in binoculars. So that's one key right there, and the small telescope. Now, comets are extremely unpredictable. It could suddenly flare up. We just have to wait and see. The comet will soon, though, be circumpolar, which means that it will be able to see it all night long. It, like the Big Dipper and Little Dipper and Cassiopeia, those constellation Draco, they stay up all night long. So it's really now right up into the area of Corona Borealis, or that's where it's going to be in Corona Borealis. That's at 5 a.m. But we don't have to be up at 5 a.m. in another week or so. It's going to be up a lot sooner in the evening. So the comet will be circumpolar. We are hoping that this once every 50,000 years visit from this comet proves to be one that will be at least naked eye visible. So we're watching it very closely. There's some excitement about it because it's a comet and everybody loves comets, but there's not a whole lot of talk about it out there in the fact that it's really getting glorious to watch at the moment, but let's wait and see. It's always exciting to see how these things end up. On Saturday, we have the third quarter moon. Saturday presents our third quarter moon. The third quarter moon rises in the morning and sets in the afternoon. Although a bit more difficult to observe than the first quarter moon, it still has very many fascinating features to enjoy, of course, just like the first quarter. Great to follow along that terminator line, and there's lots of craters and things to view as well. Now, all week long, we've got some opportunities to view the Great Red Spot. We talked about the Great Red Spot a couple of slides ago. Jupiter's Great Red Spot does offer several opportunities for viewing this week. You'll have opportunities at 22:48 Atlantic time tomorrow night, at 18:39 Atlantic time on Tuesday night, 2019 on Thursday night, and 21:58 on Saturday night. The Great Red Spot is a persistent high pressure region in the atmosphere of Jupiter. It produces an anticyclonic storm that is the largest in the solar system. Now, it's located about 22 degrees south of Jupiter's equator. It produces wind speeds of up to 400 kilometers per hour. Now, observations from 1665 to 1713 are believed to be of the same storm. If this is correct, this storm has existed for at least 358 years. Billy Kid's asking, what amount of power scope would you require to see that moon shadow? Jupiter's moon, guys?
What was the question, sir?
To see the shadow of one of Jupiter's moons on Jupiter. Actually,
Mhm.
I've seen it with 40 millimeter in my little 72 millimeter scope.
You can see it in a small telescope. It's because first of all, it's really, really bright.
Yeah.
And so long as you can, if you can see the white, when you look even through binoculars, you can see the white, what look to appear to be stars around Jupiter. Those are actually the bright moons. So I don't know if you can see it in binoculars or not, but if you've got like an 80 millimeter or like in focal length, say 400 millimeter telescope, you can certainly see it, no problem. And you can image it, and actually then you can actually zoom it in and blow it up on your photograph. Or if you're looking at it with a DSLR camera, when you use your live view, you can actually zoom it live and actually see it.
There, yeah. I mean, it's not a very big object against giant Jupiter, of course, but Jupiter is the fourth brightest object in the sky, so you should be able to pick out a black dot against that bright object.
Kathy sees them no problem. She's using a 1200 millimeter 6-inch Smith
5-inch.
or 5-inch, sorry, in the
5-inch, yeah.
5-inch Smith Cassegrain, and she picks that up no problem whatsoever.
Problem. Okay, perfect.
Anything
Okay,
that's,
question?
900 and up millimeter focal length, you're going to get a great view of it.
Yeah, you want something with a high focal length, right?
The best, yeah.
Just for planets, yeah.
Well, the higher the better, because Jupiter itself is very small in a telescope, right?
Right.
So just
Right.
think about how big Jupiter looks to you, and then and then you're going to have to you would image it, and then you would, of course, crop it and magnify it. Or if you're using your software, when you're actually imaging it, you're going to make the resolution much smaller. In other words, you're cutting away all the black crap around. It's just black space anyway. You're just wasting resolution, and you're going to focus right around. That's why planetary cameras typically have very small sensors, is because you want to fill the sensor with data, and the planets are very small. So visually you would have to have a relatively high power telescope, but image wise you don't have to.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
If that makes any sense.
And Mike. Okay, let's go from there. Also, all week, the evening planet parade continues. Whether or not you've caught the planet, haven't been able to catch much of anything. Haven't even been able to catch the sun lately. But I think it was a nice night, and it looks like we might get a couple of days this week for a break. There is a nice planet parade happening right now. We do have all the planets except for Mercury now is dropped below the horizon because it's coming up to inferior conjunction, I think on the 8th, or maybe tonight. It's very close this week when Mercury becomes the spot where it's between us and the sun. So it's not visible right now, but it'll be popping up in our morning sky in a couple of weeks' time. But anyway, all the other planets are there, and what's happening is Venus is actually rising as Saturn is dropping each night, and these two are going to become very close together within 0.3 of a degree, which is the moon is a half of a degree wide, so closer than the full moon in the sky, which is going to be a really nice double object to see on a nice clear night, because all of our celestial events always happen on clear nights.
Yeah.
Anyway, Venus is going to be with us for quite a while. It'll be with us right up until I think it's July before we lose Venus out of our sky, because it's now just climbing up on its orbit, and we won't lose it for quite a while yet. So when it's going to come up closer to Jupiter as well, so we'll have a nice pairing of Venus and Jupiter later on. But right now you've got Mars, Uranus, Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, and Venus all in our evening sky, with Orion in the view, and the Pleiades and the moon. Like nothing better. You had a really nice view there to the west after sunset. So get outside and take a look up. Lisa's lookup. Lisa puts out this chart every month. This is her newest one. This is for January. So you can find Lisa at Lisa's Lookup, Astronomy and More. And you can also find her at Ruby Moonbeams on Instagram, Twitter, Mastodon, and Facebook. So this chart lists all of the events coming up for the month. Very nice, very neatly done. I look at this when I put my WhatsApp talk together. She lists the date that the event is going to happen, and then what time the event is going to happen, and whether you need naked eye, binoculars, or telescope. So makes it very nice. So follow Lisa at Ruby Moonbeams on Instagram, Twitter, Mastodon, and Facebook. Thanks, Lisa. And of course, we have our St. John Astronomy Club as well. This is calendars put out by our local veteran, Kurt Nason, who slaps this calendar together from a lot of data that he gets. And this is listing our January, February listing right up to the mid-February. You can find this calendar at sjastronomy.ca. If you go to that our website, you can download the calendar there. And we're also, of course, members of the RASC Royal Astronomical Society of Canada Brunswick chapter as well. So now at the top of this, he does list, here's all the moons. So 1 is Io, 2 is Europa, 3 is Ganymede, and so on. And then he'll list whether it's a transit, a shadow transit. Sometimes the moons get caught behind Jupiter's shadow or pop out from behind the shadow. So he notifies all that stuff down here in the chart. And there is January 11th, when actually this is the 12th, he says on tomorrow, where the perihelion takes place for that comet. So we'll keep a close eye on that comet throughout the week, and I'll keep updating you when I get more information about it. And that's all we got for that part of the show.
I'm able to capture another target. I've already got it
Okay.
up and set. So, but there was a question, I think it was from Paul Crowder, and he wanted to know if there was an image of the equipment that I was using to take what we're seeing tonight, and I can show you.
Okay, great.
If you don't mind, it'll just take me a second.
No, please. Yeah.
I won't walk through it. I'll just show it to you and just give you a
awesome.
fast rundown. As soon as I figure out how to share again. Right there and right here. And let me know when you see the picture.
Yes.
Okay,
Sure.
so to answer your question, Paul, the telescope was pointing up into the sky in daytime here. I'm just kind of setting it up. But so what we're looking at in the back is the camera, that big red, looks like a big soup can. That's the actual monochrome camera. The filter wheel itself is sitting right on the front, that big pie plate looking thing. That's got 7 filters in it. Then right here, there's actually a focal reducer flattener, and that gives me just a little wider field of view, and it kind of helps straighten out the stars in the corners. That red thing you see there with that big box on the side is my automatic focuser, so it does all the focusing for me. Every hour, it'll go ahead and do a refocus. And then as you go up into the telescope, it's just a big white tube. So there's nothing special to see there. And then right there, that blue box, that's my the heartbeat of the whole system. On one side, I load all my data cables from all the different components on that side. And on the other side, I put all the power components on that side of it, including my dew heaters and all that. So then there's just one cable that runs down into the computer. So I don't have a spaghetti going off of it. And then the mount, that white thing that you see, that's actually my German equatorial mount. That's a Skywatcher EQ6 Pro, and that's mounted on a pier. That's that big black piece of steel, and that goes into the ground about 4 feet below floor level. And that's the rig that I'm showing you the stuff on tonight.
Your guide scope there at the top.
And the guide scope on the top. That other camera is what would keep me locked on stars. If I was doing very long exposures, I would use that. And that's a little telescope that it's hooked up to.
Awesome, Paul.
Yeah.
Do you have an image of the question? That was Paul Crowder's question, and get that answered. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So Paul says he has another word of mercy. Sort of says over here. Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah. Anyway, that's what we're using to show images here tonight. So
yeah.
What do you get next, Paul?
Okay, so I have do we want to do a Rosanna first and kind of, because I'm looking at the clock here and we still got pictures and all kinds of stuff.
Okay, yeah, sure, if you want.
So I would like to get Rosanna's segment in.
Okay.
So let me just see if I can figure out if I can do that without messing anything up. I go over here. Let me get rid of that picture. I stopped sharing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, let me just get rid of all the stuff that I don't want and don't need. And just give me 1 second. I'll get Rosanna's information up here. And then we'll get up and running.
Andrew wants to know what the make of the shop vac is on the wall.
Oh, what make of the what?
Shop vac. Your shop
Oh.
vac wall.
I got that at Canadian Tire.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a Mastercraft.
Yeah, as well as all the other stuff. That all came from Canadian Tire too.
All
Looks
right.
like the flux capacitor at Point Lebro.
Okay, let me put that over there, get that up going. Okay, I think we are ready for me to share my screen again first. Oops, share screen over here. Do that, press this, and
Dun, 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 dun.
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Hey.
well, welcome back, Rosanna. And Rosanna is extending an absolute happy new year to everybody. And she wishes you all the best for the upcoming year in whatever your endeavors are. So thank you very much, Rosanna, for your wonderful wishes for us and our viewers. And the same back to you, of course. Okay, so fun fact returns. So she says, as we ease from the holidays, life's regular schedule starts to ramp back up, back to work, back to scheduling events, and so on. The holidays hopefully were relaxing, but there is also an element of lethargy that sets in, or that sneaks in actually. It can be difficult to restore energy, especially after shorter days. A body at rest tends to stay at rest, especially if it's on the couch. You caught us at a bad time, Pete. This is our post-holiday slump. So energy defined as power derived from the utilization of physical or chemical resources, especially to provide light and heat or to work machines, is at the crux of all activities, be it shoveling snow or space travel. So how to create the necessary energy keeps many researchers occupied. The ambitious Artemis project will need vast amounts of energy. Thus, NASA is planning to fund the development of a nuclear reactor on the moon. The reactor is planned to last for 10 years. Wow. One main reason to construct the nuclear power plant on the moon rather than rely on surface solar cells, is that the solar cells won't work for the 2 weeks that the given side of the moon is in the shadow. NASA solicited some ideas along with preliminary design requests and have now awarded $5 million each to 3 groups to develop preliminary designs to surface-based lunar fission reactors. The names of the companies likely won't surprise anyone closely tied to the nuclear industry. Lockheed Martin partnering with BWXT and Creer, Westinghouse partnering with Aerojet Rocketdyne, a joint venture of Intuitive Machines and X Energy, who are partnering with Maxar Technologies and Boeing. And that's a lot of partnering. Although the expected power plants, excuse me, that planned for the moon are fission nuclear power plants, an immense amount of research into fusion energy is taking place at ITER. ITER, the way in Latin, is one of the most ambitious energy products in the world today. In southern France, 35 nations, Canada does not contribute, by the way, are collaborating to build the world's largest TOMAC, a magnetic fusion device that has been designed to prove the feasibility of fusion as a large-scale and carbon-free source of energy based on the same principle that powers our sun and stars. The approach to fusion energy differs from the one mentioned in the last fun fact, which was inertial confinement. Nearly 200 high-energy lasers focused on the walls of a small metallic target called horium, if I said that correct, which surrounds a DT pellet the size of a peppercorn. I think we remember that from the last Rosanna's fun fact. ITER's TOMAC's #1 goal is to achieve a deuterium tritium plasma in which fusion conditions are sustained mostly by internal fusion heating. Now let's have a look at that. So the heart of the it's a donut-shaped vacuum chamber. Inside, under the influence of extreme heat and pressure, gaseous hydrogen and fuel becomes a plasma, the very environment in which hydrogen atoms can be brought to fuse and yield energy. The charged particles of the plasma can be shaped and controlled by the massive magnetic coils placed around the vessel. Physicists use the important property to confine the hot plasma away from the vessel walls. The term tokamak comes to us from a Russian acronym that stands for toroidal chamber with magnetic coils. Scientists are confident that the plasmas in the ITER will not only produce much more fusion energy, but will remain stable for longer periods of time. Interesting. So, will fusion or fission provide energy on the moon? Is that a tokamak feasible for a lunar power? Does fusion have to be powered by deuterium tritanium plasma? Yeah. So fission versus fusion. There are other energy producing combinations of light nuclei that are theoretically possible, a few of which involve the helium isotope 3 or 3He, fusing 3He with itself or with deuterium. Others offers the immense advantage of not producing neutrons and hence avoids activating materials in the fusion chamber. Carried by solar wind, 3He is prevented from reaching the surface of our planet because of the magnetic field that protects it. On the moon, however, where the magnetic field is considerably weaker, large quantities of 3He have accumulated close to the surface for many years. Some scientists, politicians, and private companies, and even former Apollo astronaut Harrison Smith, have made the argument that mining the moon for 3He. Other scientists argue that mining the moon for 3He is pure moonshine, or as a result of flawed through process from drinking some. I love her sense of humor. Despite the controversy, 3He recently had made headlines in relation to the landing of the Chinese rover, Chang'e 4, on the dark side of the moon. Professor Ouyang Zhayan, the chief scientist from the Chinese Lunar Exploration Program, was widely quoted saying that a long-term industrial program to mine the moon for 3He was economically justified. The moon is so rich in helium-3, he said, that it could solve humanity's energy demand for around 10,000 years at least. Yeah, wow. And maybe it could solve future moon bases' demand for energy too. But until the fission or future nuclear reactor for the moon is built, astronauts will just have to take matters into their own hands to create their own kind of energy on the moon. Here's the Moonshine Vintage 2023.
Yes, sir.
Here's everybody. And that is this week's
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Yay.
So
Wow.
good.
I love that fun fact. That
A
was
lot of data.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah. Fusion is going to be it's going to be really exciting to see what happens with this.
I don't know about you, but I'm confused. I'm confused. Get it?
Oh.
Confusion.
Got to be there.
Sorry.
Let's carry on. You have something to show there, Paul.
Oh yeah.
And now
Okay, so let's
we
get
get a
back. This
view of
one,
that.
everybody's gonna know this. So when I show you this, it's gonna be like,
okay.
we're all home together and we're bringing in the new year to see this all together for the first time. And it's something we're all going to adore for the next few months.
One of my
So
favorite.
go ahead and
projects.
share my screen. Oh, let's get rid of that first off. And plunk. So this is the area of sky we're going to be looking at. I think everybody knows where that is. And that is in the great constellation Orion.
You're
And
not sharing.
I'm not sharing. Where did it go? Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just do this and then put that over here and then do this and put that back over here. 2, 3, and there we go.
Oh, that one. Oh, it's that one. Oh, you surprised me. I thought it was the other one.
I was going to put you under the Pleiades.
Yeah, we're, yeah.
Yeah.
Many Cygnus.
There we go. That's probably the most, it's probably the most imaged object in the sky right there. I
Yeah.
have to say. And the one that most people start out with for imaging.
Yep.
Excellent in telescope, excellent binoculars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the first things when we do outreach, and it's in the winter time because Orion, of course, is a winter constellation, that we show people just with binocular, small telescope, and you can see that it appears to be smudgy, but it's the most clear, almost colorful smudge that you'll ever see.
Yep.
Now,
That's an awesome target.
there's no question about it.
And never gets old.
No, I wish I could have had my other camera on to show you that in color, because in color it's just absolutely gorgeous. But you can still see a lot of the detail and definition that go in and around that. Now I'm shooting only not like 1788 millisecond shots. The reason I'm shooting so quick is because if I shot any longer, I'd blow out the core. So I wanted to visually be able to show you the core, or at least show you where the area is. We might be able to see something of it. I don't know. I haven't looked closely
The
yet.
trapezium.
Trapezium would be right there, and you can almost see it. It's just ever so slightly blown out, but there are actually, I think there's 5 stars, but we typically see 4 that are sitting right in and about there. So when you look at that through a telescope, you can see those 4 stars, and they're just gorgeous. That whole thing that's in there, and that's kind of the brightest spot in that whole nebula, and that's where a lot of the activity. That's where most of the activity in that particular nebula is. Now,
So it's about
on top
20
of that, this one sits very close to this one. And this one, I'm still waiting for more time to build on it. Plus, I'm using a red filter. This would be reflection nebula, which would be blue. I'm using a red filter, so you're not really seeing a lot of it there. Had I chosen blue, you wouldn't see a lot of the Orion Nebula, but you would have saw this guy just running right out, but that's called the Running Man. The Running Man Nebula right there. And you can just barely make out his little athletic legs and arms and hands kind of running there. But over a period of time, I've only got just 8 minutes on this target, so that'll build up. But this was the jewel that we want to show tonight.
So that's visible naked eye. Like if you pick out the 3 stars that make up his belt, just look directly below that at his sword, at Orion's sword, you'll see that naked eye easily. And it's about 25 light years across. It's huge.
Yeah.
We call it the Orion Nebula, but it's actually 2. It's M42 and M43.
Right.
Okay, Mike, can you break out which ones are which?
Okay, down the part, if you see where it gets dark.
Right here, the Dark Nebula.
Yeah, basically, if you split that, that's M43. And then above that is M42.
So the larger section
Yeah.
is M42.
I believe.
Smaller, yeah, I think you're right. In the smaller section, right here would be M43. Now, actually, if you want to look that up, you just
Then,
yeah, you should be able to. I might be able to have it right here.
just trying to find it here.
So it's a stellar nursery too, one of the largest stellar nurseries.
Oops, going the wrong way. Come on, come on. My mouse is not being cooperative today.
Mouse.
There we go. So there.
All right, the Running Man is M42.
Let's just get in there. Have a look.
Okay.
All right. So there's M43.
Yeah,
M42 will be the Running Man. M43.
Running Man, yes. And
Yeah.
then M43, right.
Yeah. So M43 is this section right here.
Yeah.
With that what looks like a bird. It's a bird in its eye right there. I'll get a little closer. I don't know if it's going to give me any more breakdown or not. And then it starts to label some of the stars. So M43 is actually this part, M42, M43, or NGC 1975, 1973. It's this section right here, which would be the Running Man.
Yes, sir. It's a
This
lot
guy-
going on in there.
But we
This
all
guy's-
kind of label it M42 because through binoculars or
Yeah.
a telescope, the central core is what we look at. And if you type M42 into your go-to system on your telescope, it'll take you right there.
It lies about 1,300 light years away from Earth. So 1 light year, of course, is 10 trillion kilometers. It's roughly 25 light years in diameter. This great nebulous cocoon is giving birth to perhaps 1,000 stars. It's a young open star cluster whose stars were born together in the gas cloud and are still loosely bound together by gravity. Some people refer to it as the Orion Nebula star cluster. Through small telescopes, you can see the 4 brightest stars in the Orion Nebula, known as the trapezium. The light from the young hot trapezium stars illuminates the Orion Nebula, and these stars are only about 1 million years old or so, just babies on the scale of star lifetime. But most of the stars in this emerging cluster are veiled behind the Orion Nebula itself, the great stellar nursery in Orion's sword.
I'm gonna, oh, look that. I'm gonna be able to show you the trapezium. You just hang on.
I'll pop out.
Keep talking, I'll get that. There it is, right there. So there's the trapezium right there.
There you go. Yeah.
So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 stars right there, and that's the trapezium, and that's what ignites that, all of that, or a good portion of that that nebulosity.
Yeah. So nice, easy target, easy in binoculars, easy with small telescope, very easy to find. I mean, all you got to do is find Orion. Just look at the 3 stars that make up his belt and directly below that. It makes a perfect wintertime target. Great for outreach as well if you want to show other people.
So you can see there's a ton of nebulosity on this side. When you actually image it and put together all the data, all down through here, there is this amazing curtain of dark dust all through there, and it just jumps right out. It's absolutely stunning to see.
I have a shot of that, Paul, that I just grabbed.
You have one? Okay, just 1 sec, Mike. I'll stop sharing. Where is my stop sharing button? It tends to disappear on me. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to close this screen. And go ahead, Mike.
Just give you an idea. You should see it there.
There you go. That's it.
That's it.
Look
Yeah.
at the colors down in this area down in here, that all those ribbons are dark. And then everything that lights up around it, like it's huge. And man, the colors are unbelievable.
Yeah. So if you
Running
look at
Man
that Running
Center.
Man, if you look at that Running Man nebula over there, you can see that a majority of that is reflection nebula, which is blue. And the filter I was using here was just red. That's why you couldn't see it. But now you can
Right.
see that man that's on top, the 2 arms, the 2 legs, and it looks like he's running. And that's where it gets that name. That dark dust, the dark nebula, or the dark dust that we talked about, which is called dark nebula, which is dust. Mike's actually running his months over it right now. And you can light that up even more with you get a lot more time on your target. And that is just so full of that stuff. And it's so intertwined. It's just absolutely gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, it goes all the way down, way over here. It's all,
Oh, yeah.
you don't
it's-
realize how big that is
it's a-
until you
it's a
get
huge
on it.
target. Yeah. And then on the inside of that, you can see all the hydrogen alpha, all that red nebulosity that's going on back there too. So I would have to assume, and now based on what you told us earlier, Mike, about how deep these things are, it'd be interesting to see what actually is part of this and what is behind it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
There is a Hubble movie on it. If you look for Hubble 3D, Orion Nebula. There's
Mhm.
about a 2-minute video that they used to zoom in and show parts of it, like from a different view, right?
Yeah.
And that was not my photo, by the way.
Yeah, if you look it up, you'll get a ton of versions of it. But
Yeah,
it's definitely something. It's a challenge to image because the reason that it is because that trapezium that I showed you is so bright. You have to actually image that first at very short, like I was showing you here, very short exposures, so that you can actually get that. And then once you've got that, then you basically start imaging very long exposures to get all the outer portion of that nebula. Then when it's all said and done, then you basically merge the two together. You can do it in Photoshop. You can do it in PixInsight. There's all kinds of ways you can put it together. But then you put those together, so then you've got that beautiful trapezium, and that's not all blown up because a lot of them, and like the one Mike was showing, that actually the trapezium area was all blown out. So
Yeah.
had that been shot with two separate exposure times, you would have been able to see the whole thing.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to some photos and then we're going to come back to your image, Paul. Maybe you can keep that
Okay,
up.
yeah, I'll just leave that collect data.
Yeah, okay. So let's get into some, because we're at after 9 o'clock already. So
It is.
Right.
Time goes.
Okay, let's get into some photos here that were sent in. Well, that were sent in, some I grabbed from other people. I do that. I tend to do that. Share the screen. I think I can just drag and drop them.
oh, nice.
There we go.
I like that.
Oh,
Okay.
that's a great shot. I saw that. That was Lisa, eh?
That's Lisa, yeah. So
Yeah.
Lisa says, hi, Chris, if you're looking for some photos this week, I've been out snapping the moon, weather permitting. She says on the 3rd of January, I was photobombed. My BFF, an airplane enthusiast, helped me surmise that this is JetBlue flight 6396. Embraer 190 from Raleigh to JFK in New York City. Cool.
Yes, sir.
iPhone 13 handheld through
Wow.
Swarovski optic 65 millimeter spotting scope.
Crazy, eh?
Well done. Now you guys are in my way, so
I love
I'm
that shot.
gonna have to change screens here because 3 of us are stuck here. We can hide us. There we go. Okay. This one. Following evening was cloudy and then it was crystal clear. She said within 30 minutes the clouds moved in again. I just love the effect.
Yeah.
Back. Hope you had a good break, she says. We did. Thank you.
Cool. Nice shot.
Third image of the moon as well. So
There you go.
nicely done.
Very nice.
Thanks, Lisa. Harold Locke finally gets some clear sky out there. Hey, Harold. He's got Captain said, been a few weeks, he said, not the best skies, but a picture nonetheless. Great shot.
Yes,
All
sir.
the way from California, IA.
Yes, sir. They do
Beautiful.
have the moon out there.
I think we're getting rained on now.
Yeah, for sure. Great stuff. Thanks, Harold. From there, we go to Denise Bond. Denise said, hello, I'm happy for you to use this photo if you'd like to. Taken tonight with my Canon Rebel from Moncton.
Very nice.
Shot.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
And another Denise here, Denise Gauthier. Denise Gauthier, Wolf Moons, Saturday morning, January 7th from Moncton as well.
Yes, sir.
Nice trees, yeah. Beautiful.
Well done.
Beautiful.
I got a shot here from Kathy Adams through the clouds.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Love
Yes. I like the way that the branches stick out. They look like their fingers trying to grab the moon.
Yeah, she makes it look easy. Gary Cole, we had talked about the moon rising, the wolf moon, and he said, well, wasn't really impressed with the view. Of course, that was a puny moon, right? It was a farthest, I think it's the farthest away moon this year when it rose. Anyway, so that's his view there. But he said, I did say also that the sun was setting in the opposite direction just 20 minutes later after the moon rise. So you don't have that contrast either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he said,
Yeah,
well, his
but
view
you know
got a
what?
little better.
You know what? Can you go back that picture?
Yeah.
I mean, but look at the color of the sky and how that's
Oh, yeah.
rising up through.
Yeah.
And and if you were to even crop in on it, yeah, there you go.
Like this. There you go.
Yeah, and that's only what you're doing through a JPEG, but his actual image, and I
Yeah.
see there's a boat there or something. You
Yeah.
see?
Yeah. Right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a great image. Don't
Yeah. Don't cut yourself
don't put
short.
that one down. That's beautiful.
I'd tell everybody that's a whale jumping.
There.
No, that's a
Well done.
fantastic
Beautiful
done, Gary.
shot.
Yeah, and he said it was a little better the next night. He said, well, of course, yeah, it got darker in the background because the moon rose an hour later the next night. So,
Yeah.
Or he said it was bigger this morning. That was this morning, I guess. Yeah. Catherine
bigger.
Mitchell, my daughter-in-law in Winnipeg, snapped this one. She sent this one into us. Yeah,
Look at that.
the morning moon
Very
from
nice.
Winnipeg. She said, I
Oh,
don't know
you
what
know
all that
what?
stuff is on the ground there. I was going to ask her what all that stuff was.
I'm
but-
glad
Yeah, what's
she's in
that?
Winnipeg.
What?
I'm glad she's in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
They can keep
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So thank you, Catherine, for that.
Nice picture.
Glad to have you on the show. This is from my niece, actually, Linnea Vandenberg.
Sweet.
And she said, thought these were pretty cool. She had took them from a plane at the beginning of December when her husband and her were on their way to Montreal.
Right on.
Very nice. Wow, that's beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
They actually had clean windows, obviously.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. I don't know if he could. I don't know. I think he went out. He probably would go outside and clean them for her. So
I was gonna say, when I was going to Toronto, the windows were not that clean.
It's
Nice
nice being
shots.
up above the clouds like that, eh?
Isn't that
Yeah.
gorgeous?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's
Thanks,
neat.
Linnea. Okay, we got David Hoskins here. David M37. So this is Messier 37 is an open star cluster in the constellation of Auriga. There are more than 500 stars in this rich, bright open cluster. It is located in a nearby outer arm of the Milky Way, about 4,500 light years from Earth.
Very
Nice
nice.
cluster.
Yeah, nice clusters. I
right.
love clusters. Yeah.
Nice shot.
And this one was Owl Nebula, Messier 97, also known as the Owl Nebula, is a planetary nebula in the constellation of Ursa Major. The nebula is 2,030 light years from Earth and has an estimated age of 8,000 years. It is made up of material from the central star, which is in the process of becoming a white dwarf, like we will. That's what I was
Well,
saying.
it's a hoot to get that shot.
Wah, wah. Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Joey Craswell sent this one. I got this one from his from the Astro Imaging page there. Hopefully somebody caught that pink sky this morning, you said, with the beautiful bright moon above it. So beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's what we call the belt of
Fantastic.
Venus right there.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's the belt of Venus. That's light refracting from the other side of the sky or reflecting back onto these clouds and stuff. So it's always very pretty.
Nothing like the morning, man. That's the
Mm.
best time of day.
And he caught himself some nice sun pillars there too.
Oh,
So-
Sun pillar, yeah.
Nice.
So
That was
sun
a nice
pillars
shot.
or light pillars are formed when sunlight or another bright light source reflects off the surface of millions of falling ice crystals. Cool.
Yeah, those are always nice to see.
That's
Mm.
cool.
Thanks, Joey. Dan Garrett sent this in. He said, hey, Chris, this is shot with my Galaxy S21 phone. Now, this is back on December the 8th. Of course, we took our break at Christmas there, so I missed these ones. Mars is in there, just can't see it, he said. But it's in there, he said. So great shot.
Yeah, beautiful.
Plus,
Sure.
thanks, Dan. I'm going to go from there to Brad Perry. Brad sent these in. He said, hi, Chris. Here are a couple of recent photos with an accidental theme, near misses. He said, one is of the full moon on December the 8th, where I missed an airplane transiting in front of the moon because I didn't react quickly enough. Well, that happens. You can see a hint of its lingering trail streaking diagonally through the photo.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he says the second photo is of a few geminid meteors on December the 13th.
Oh, nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful.
Very nice.
I missed two bright fireballs, he said, while I was getting my camera set up. Oh, well, all part of the fun, he said.
Beautiful shot.
Well done.
There, yeah, beautiful. Well done. Thanks, Brad. And I think this one came from Mr. Powell. It's moonshot.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't zoom in. That was a handheld shot.
Still pretty good. Handheld.
Well,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing.
With that.
That's that Sigma 600 image
150
stabilized lens, single
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice.
Kathy Adams for January 1st, New Year's moon.
Yeah.
Now I stuck her.
Oh,
Oh, look, beautiful shot.
Detail is
there.
incredible.
Yeah, crazy,
Yeah.
incredible detail, lots of color.
yeah, the color is really, really nice.
And I'm comparing her shot to Rita Kopinitsky, who joins us from Adelaide, Australia.
Wow.
Here's her moon the same day.
Look at that.
That's her Happy New Year moon, and we saw Kathy's was the other way. So,
Yeah.
right? That's what it was like down under.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks for that, Rita.
Yeah.
Love it.
Now, I got some compositions here, collages, I guess, from 2022. Robert Cadet, this is his. 2022 was mostly, for him, he said it was mostly solar. He takes some amazing solar images. These are just incredible.
Done some nice work.
Yeah, so not a lot to show. He said you can only post so many solar captures before they become boring. Well, I don't think they're boring. It's pretty exciting stuff right there.
Yeah. If you want to just go ahead and start studying what's actually going on there rather than just looking at the photograph, they'd never get boring.
Yeah, well, fantastic.
Yeah, well done. Those collages are so nice too.
They
Oh,
are.
yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
Here's one from Matthew Dupre. His collage of his favorites from 2022. There's this
Awesome shots.
I really like
Aurora
it.
shot, Jupiter,
Yeah.
some nice sunspots, Milky Way,
Yeah.
beautiful shots.
Absolutely.
Good stuff, Matthew.
Yes, sir.
Chris Benoit.
Chris, yeah.
22-year review. Lots of shots there.
Yes, sir. He's coming. He's really coming along.
Is he ever? Look at that shot of the heart.
Yeah.
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 Incredible. Great stuff, guys.
Very
There,
nice.
guys and gals. And Kathy Adams, her shot and review.
Yeah.
of The year. Lots of planetary
I
stuff
like
there.
that, the moon down the bottom with the yellow and the sunburst
This one,
clouds.
yeah, nice.
Beautiful.
She framed stuff well. Good stuff. Thanks, Kathy. I'm going to move off to Cecile McLeod. These are our last couple now. She said, we were on the Carnival Horizon cruise ship when I captured the beautiful sun rays. There you go. That's
Fire.
just a ray. Now, I used to draw them like that when I was a kid, right? Didn't you draw
Yeah.
a sun with all these
Yeah,
little rays sticking up out of it kind of thing? And yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful shot.
Fantastic.
She
Gorgeous.
sent me this, oh, sorry, where is it? It's on here somewhere. I'll find it. There it is. Let's see if I can bring this one up. Yeah. It's going to open up somewhere. I'll open up over here. I'll bring it over here. Maybe you can see it here. Yes.
Video, cool.
Yeah, there. So she was on a cruise ship, but she got the moon first anyway. So
There you go.
Oh, wow, eh?
I love astronomers who don't think about the cruise, not enjoying their trip, just focus on the night sky. Focus on the night sky. That's what it's all about. Bring those images back. Anyway,
Okay, can I show one more image before you tell them where you send them?
absolutely. Yeah. Let me,
Yeah, you stop
is
sharing.
that, okay, I'll stop sharing.
I'm gonna share a screen.
Okay.
And I want to show a picture, and I hope you don't mind, Winston. I'm going to show you. He just joined on, I think. But he got a new rig tonight, and I think he's real excited about it. So I told him, you send me a picture, and I want to show everybody your new rig.
Hey,
He's off to the races already.
there you go.
Now,
Very nice.
there's a really, really nice rig right there.
He's gonna like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, he's going to enjoy that. He's out there enjoying our first clear night in
Yeah.
many moons, I guess I
So
could
wait,
say.
hold on now. Wait, now he got a telescope and he got a clear night. That's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did that
Come on
happen?
there.
He's bucking the trend.
I get better buy a lotto ticket.
Anyway, so yeah, so he's got himself a C-gem there and Skywatcher 100mm refractor, and he'll absolutely enjoy himself tonight with that thing, especially the
Thanks a lot, Paul. I froze my butt off today. There you go.
And many more nights ahead.
Many more, yeah.
Yes, it's just the beginning, my friend, just the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't have sympathy for you yet. Okay.
That setup's
So
gonna work well for you, Winston.
I just wanted to, let me get that on the wrong screen, didn't I? Hang on. I don't in things yet. Just give me a second. Bring that up over here, bring this over here. And that should be it. Now I can share. So yeah, if you have photos of your own you'd like to send in, please send them in to astronomybythebay@gmail.com. That keeps it simple now. Instead of Sunday night show and East Coast, let's just bring them all to that one address and I can gather them all in one spot again. So I'm going to go with astronomybythebay@gmail.com. That's not just for photos, that's for questions, outreach events that you're looking for, any type of activity like that follows back to the page. So there, yeah, okay. So Paul, maybe a quick last view of our Orion Nebula, and then we'll call it an evening.
All right, give me one sec here and I'll make sure it's still there. Oh my gosh, is it ever?
Thanks to everybody who sent those images in it as well.
Yeah,
We appreciate it.
always
Full
fantastic.
shots. I love it. If it gives people outdoors to take a picture, we
what
did
it's all
what
about.
we were intended to do.
That's what I'll do.
There are so many stars in and around that area too. Oh, and by the way, we've discovered, and we call them ourselves, but this is of course.
The worms.
Yeah, we have all these space worms are coming. Right here.
So be careful, like, get your emergency pack together.
Get your fish hooks out. We got space worms coming.
72 hours of water, get some cash out of the bank.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we saw
Practice,
that.
practice saying, I love my worm overlords.
That's
There we are, right there. Some more.
awesome.
Yeah, star snakes.
Yeah, star snakes.
There you go. But anyway, yeah, so we'll go back to Orion. And yeah, that's just something, and that'll just keep building. Now I got about what, 16 minutes on that. That's nothing.
That's nothing, no, yeah,
Yeah.
awesome, look at it,
You get a
yeah.
few hours on that, boy, all that whole outer shell, all that whole outer gases and whatnot really start to.
It's a great nebula through binoculars and telescope, that's why, I guess, because there's so much light. It
Yeah.
makes a great target for that, and naked eye.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not
You
sure
know it's
what.
there.
I'm not sure what filter would look best with that, because you can put a filter on and get a little more detail on it, because it is really, really bright. But it's and it's naked eye too. Even if you're in the right place, you can see that. You won't see the detail because you're too far. It's too
But
small.
you'll know there's something
But-
there, sure.
Yeah, it does not look like a star. You can see
Yeah.
this much. Yeah.
All right, I guess we should wrap up then tonight.
All right.
We're about 20 minutes past our deadline, but that's okay. People stay
Well,
with
that's
us,
what
so
we do,
that's
eh?
great.
Okay, let me just stop sharing here. There we go.
Okay, so then in closing tonight, we wanted to let you know that our local veteran astronomer Kurt Nason will be our guest next week in our new
Yay.
Constellation of the Month segment. Hey, Kurt. Kurt was on here tonight. He called that Running Man Vegas Elvis. There we go.
There you go.
He'll be on our show next week with the Constellation of the Month segment. It'll be on the dog days of winter, he says, Canis Major and Canis Minor. So there, good topic.
Perfect.
And so then we thank you once again for your continued support of all of our efforts here. Our special thanks once again goes out to Rosanna, of course, for her continued contributions to our program. Rosanna, thank you very much. We really do appreciate it. Great to have you with us again for another year. Also hope that
It was
all
good to
you-
see you last night, actually. She said she was.
Yeah,
Oh, did
yeah.
you show up? Oh, I missed it. I missed it.
She's kind of like what was that show? The Tim the Tool Man and the guy
Yeah.
that was always behind the fence.
Oh,
Yeah,
You never saw him.
Wilson.
Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson.
We saw Wilson last night.
We also hope that those of you who joined us from Rogers enjoyed the program tonight. If you would like more information about the wonders of the night sky, you can find me at astronomybythebay.ca. Also, a special thanks, of course, to all of you who share our program. We really do appreciate it, truly, all very much so. Set it to, I don't know, 100 different pages, whatever. Remember, we do love getting your photos, so send them into astronomybythebay@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to include them on our next broadcast. And if you have a suggestion for a topic for a future show, please let us know at the same address. Please let your friends and family know as well that we will be back here next Sunday night at 8 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook to entertain you on the wonders of the night sky. So for now then, from Mike, Paul, and I, wish you a safe and happy week, everybody. Lots of clear skies, we hope. And as we like to say, guys, open your eyes to view the skies. Keep your scopes pointed up.
Yep.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.